Radio. Reality radio, everybody can be a star. And I'm one of the co-hosts of Straight Up the Middle. And this week we have a very special show that I couldn't do this show without my other co-host, none other than the Professor Tony Seabrook. Good morning, Professor. How are you this morning?
I'm not doing well, and we know why, but we'll get to that later.
I think you should be doing
I'll just say
great.
good morning.
I will get back to that. You should be doing great. And listen, everybody, since I only can be on the show for the first part of the show, we are blessed to have with us none other than the wonderful Robin Lockett. She is the Florida Rising Regional Director for Tampa Bay. Now, listen, if you're wondering really why we have her on, she is our local version of Stacey Abrams.
You see what I'm saying? Right there.
A real community activist working in this community in all dynamics and aspects, trying to make sure the political and democratic process is at its full strength. So good morning, Robin. I think you're muted, Robin. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I'm excited.
No, thank you.
Very excited.
Yeah, you're always very generous with your time and coming in and helping us out with the show. So we want to appreciate it and thank you for that. So and before we get started, I want to just take a moment of personal privilege. On this Tuesday, January the 5th of 2021, was the 110th anniversary of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. You can see I'm decked out in my traditional garb. I'm doing what you call double nail ya, and more nail ya. So want to thank all the Kappas out there. We had a great Founders Day event last night. And actually, everybody who's listening in, I want to encourage you to stick around at 11 o'clock because on this very station, In Touch News Radio, there's going to be a special hour show. The Sole Purpose has agreed to dedicate their 1 hour program to Kappa Alpha Psi and its history. And that show is going to be co-hosted by none other than former State Senator Edna Rain, who also appears on our show quite regularly. So please stick around and hang in there and make sure that you find out more about what our organization does. And in fact, the Sole Purpose is going to be running a series of shows related to the Divine Nine, giving each organization a chance to come on and talk about its history and the things that people may not know about what we do in the community and things of that nature. So anyway, so that's my point of personal privilege. With that, let's just jump right in. I'm going to start with you, Robin. Let's do this. Professor, I'm just going to turn the floor over to you. Anything you'd like to say, disclose, admit, confess. I just want to give you a chance to get that out right now.
Well, let me lob this one over. I am now the newest member, and no one told me my shirt was misbuttoned. I am now the newest member of the non-party affiliation. That's how pissed off I was.
Okay. Non-party, is that a party?
That's right. It is not affiliated. I didn't even go with the Florida Independent Party. I didn't know there were so many parties out there when I unregistered from the Republican Party.
Okay. Now, so you beat Markowski, who I think she was saying she was leaving the party too. So you were trying to get ahead of her.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of everybody.
If you don't mind, Professor, give us just a little basis for why you felt the need to make a move away from the Republican Party in formality.
Right. Well, over the years, one of my biggest gripes against Republicans are they're spineless. When Democrats have the power, they'll do things, and we on our side will whine about it. We'll throw up some laws, but in the end, we're not going to do anything. This particular situation, I'm of the mindset of the millions of others who feel that this election was stolen. And at the very least, the Republicans should have put up a fight to make sure this thing, if you couldn't get in court, they don't have any control over state courts and those type of courts. And that's the process it had to go through. So I understand that. But once it got to Congress, and I just think there were some things that they could have done in their individual states, leverage their power to do some things that way. But these cases were thrown out without being heard. They were thrown out for no standing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not a lawyer, but you don't have to be a lawyer to know the case never made it to court. Like they never presented the evidence. I don't know what you do to get to that point. I'm not a lawyer. I don't need to be a lawyer to form my opinion. And they've proven to me that they are just that. They're spineless and they're taking their voters for granted, which is why I left the Democrat Party in 2003 So I'm just one of those voters, I'm only going to take so much. I'm not going to let another 4 years go by or 2 years go by and let you make more promises and you show me that you're spineless. And well, in the case of the Democrat Party, when you show me that, you just about some other business that I don't agree with.
All right. So a couple things in that, that caught my attention is I don't know that I saw anything new recently from the Republicans that we have not seen before. And in fact, I thought they fought too much in this situation to such an extent that it put some democratic principles in jeopardy. We have 50 plus, I think 60 lawsuits. I don't question the commitment of certain Republicans at various state levels to the Republican Party have to make the honorable and call based on the facts as they understood. And I would say that they're much closer to those facts and not throw them out to say that they had to make the choices that they made to honor the oaths that they had taken. So I'm really at a loss as to what basis and facts. Now, I know there's some dark places on the internet and the rhetoric and things you can go find where Martians are landing and all kinds of things are happening. But when we have the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, state investigative agencies, Republican elected officials running some of these elections, coming back and saying, we didn't see anything that we don't normally see, and here is the result, which is the result that we've been handed repeatedly. Repeatedly, we've been handed that result and said, hey, here's the result, accept it. I'm a little shocked that this situation pushed you over the edge. And listen,
I don't know what's the shock
much more
about.
fighting. One more, Professor. How much more fighting do you need than storming the Capitol?
Well, that's just it.
The Capitol.
And that's we're under, and I believe this country is under civil war. I mean, it's a soft one, we had the culture one with George Floyd, the Ahmaud Arbery, we had those things going. But now when hundreds of thousands of ordinary, everyday people storm the Capitol, you can't dismiss that. There's no way you can dismiss that and go, well, they were just mad because they lost. That's not because they're lost. There is a grave injustice that was done, and to just sweep it under the rug like, well, this is how we do it. Yeah, it was cheating, but we normally see the cheating. Yeah, we don't believe that.
Okay, I'm going to refute just one comment you made, and then I'm going to turn the floor over to Robin. I saw the video of those people. Those weren't normal American. Buffalo Bob with his buffalo outfit and his painted chest. That wasn't like your.
I don't know where that guy came from. Yeah, I don't know where that guy came from. Now, I don't know where he came from. I'm not claiming him.
Robin, your thoughts about what the professor just said? Don't think too hard. We don't want you to go too far.
You might believe him. Don't think too hard. You might believe me.
I don't think they were normal people. I mean, I think some of them were normal people that has been buying into this message. Because if you continuously, Donald Trump did something that he continuously relayed a message for 4 years, 5 years, and if you continuously hear that message, you start believing it, right? Just like you just got to say, hey, if you listen to me too hard, you'll start believing what I say. But along with those people, there are people that are white supremacists. So they have a totally different thought process on top of what he's saying themselves. So they think that they're above everybody anyhow, right? But in regards to the elections being stolen, Donald Trump participated the process, but he felt like the judges that he put in place, they were going to, because he put them in office, they were going to side with him and disregard the law because they were thankful to be in office. Do you disagree with that?
I disagree with that because he thought he was going to. No one thought he was going to lose. You guys didn't even know who you're going to pick. I mean, Joe Biden.
No.
When he put them in place. Wait a minute. When he put them in place, there was no if he was going to lose.
We were pretty certain a long time ago. Once he got elected, first he should have never won the first time.
Exactly. That's what you guys thought the first time.
And once the first day in office, he started lying about crowd size. We knew America would not go along with this when given an opportunity to remake that decision again. I was pretty confident about that. You know, from that perspective. But let me ask you, Professor, do you anticipate there being a large number of Republicans doing what you're doing, leaving the party because they don't believe? Now, let me ask you this, though. How does that further Republican ideals, though? Doesn't that weaken the Republican Party?
Here's the thing. I'm of the mindset, like I said last week, I don't care if they blow up the whole government, not physically, but blow it up, because according to you, America is an idea. But I challenge that because it must be a bad idea, because y'all complain about it all the time. So it can't be a good idea. And if it's so bad, and according to Democrats, if there's systemic racism, blow the whole damn thing up and let's start all over. Everybody going.
You don't get rid of a car because you have a flat tire. You get better tires.
If that car keeps giving me problems, trust me, it's gone.
That's why you put other people in office. That's why you put other people in office.
So let's move to a positive note. Robin, we saw an incredible turn of events in Georgia.
Yes.
We saw that, and you could just see it coming, I think, with Stacey Abrams' gubernatorial election, when Republicans had to strike voters from the rolls to make sure they won. That's when you knew they were in trouble, that they weren't they had to, use those kind of different kind of tactics. What were your thoughts, though, in understanding how Georgia turned blue from red in this runoff election?
Stacey Abrams and others started this 10, 12 years ago. So when she had an idea, if she, like a woman, we pre-plan, right? So she knew if she was going to do this, she started planning and putting things in place and connecting the dots well before she made that gubernatorial announcement that she was going to run. So it was consistent. It was consistent. It was her and other organizations that were doing the same thing, but they stayed the course to make this happen.
And when you say what were they doing, though? Was this their registration process?
Registration process. You have to have a registration process. You have to have an education process to make people want to come to the polls. You have to have a mechanism of getting people to the polls. You have to keep in contact with them. So they have to, and they were consistent about it. Here in here in Florida, we pick people up, we register, we drop them, right?
But that takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of investment. And if I'm hearing you say, what I'm hearing you say is, because I thought I heard on the Republican side, one of the reasons they were so encouraged and thought Donald Trump would win, they had 2.5 million people who they had volunteering on the street, knocking on doors, while allegedly, according to the professor and his folks, Joe Biden was in the bunker. And you're saying that in Georgia, Stacey Abrams was able to put together some kind of, thing that would get those voters to the polls.
Her work was continuous. She continued it from the time that she lost. She never stopped working. Before she even ran, she never stopped working. So it was something that was consistent to build it into that machine.
Now, I've heard that the Republican candidates were not good candidates. That is it Loeffler? I think the lady's name is Loeffler.
Yeah, Loeffler.
That she was just really not, when you get down to it, she was just a Trump mini-me, spouting Trump slogans, and she wasn't a really good candidate. Was that your assessment also?
Yeah, and she was appointed. She didn't go through an election. She was appointed. So when you're being appointed, he appoints who he wants to appoint. They don't go through the rigorous trials of a campaign or an
appointer.
But now Purdue, though, he's Georgia legacy. I think his dad was governor of Georgia. He seemed to have been, I thought, would have deeper, stronger roots. Do you think it's just that they were bad candidates, or they just ran a bad campaign?
We're not having all this love affair. It was cheating. Same thing happened. So
Professor, first they're cheating. You got to be more specific.
Why did you say they cheated?
It was the same pattern. The same pattern. Did you guys not see they were leading at midnight, and then all of a sudden there's reports again that there were some irregularities? They had to get some I don't know, some judge involved. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying what.
Well, you need to know, if you're going to say they cheated, you need to know.
I want to know why you think that they cheated.
That's been a problem here,
Professor. It goes back to, I couldn't break in when you guys were just, patting each other on the back about this whole get out the vote. But let's talk about the get out the vote that Stacey Abrams did. there's difference between voter enthusiasm and then you going stopping somebody. Hey, you register to vote. Let me register your vote. Let me tell you what you need to know. When you spoon feed somebody something and write their name down and say all you need to do is sign this, that's not voter enthusiasm, and that's barely getting out the vote. That's almost a form of cheating. So
No,
when you
that's
have
not.
a bag
We do.
full of that,
That's not. Let me tell you what, and we don't cheat. So here in
Yeah.
Hillsborough County, we have people that in regards to voter registration, they stand on the corners, they go to the most popular places.
I've been hit up like that. But go ahead and finish your story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Huh?
I've been approached by them. So go ahead, because I heard the.
Listen, you're almost
Them,
back
I
home.
can only speak about my organization.
Okay.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
my organization is a reputable organization.
Okay.
But when you want to get your best impact, you go to the most popular and the most busiest place.
Okay.
And so they're not, as long as they're not signing someone's name, filling their information out, and they're legally asking people, are you registered to vote, or and so forth, that's legal. When it's illegal is when you're signing somebody's name and you're giving erroneous information, or you're signing them up and they don't know that you're signing them up. So Stacey Abrams had the opportunity to have a ban with out there where people were going out, volunteering, going and registering in individuals to vote. If they are asking people, are you registered? Do you need to update your information? And so forth, that is legal.
But
Well, one more thing. Well, hold on, Professor. If I'm not correct, wasn't there a election thrown out in Carolina because the Republicans fraudulently handled the registration and voting process? I mean, I understand it. And you mentioned something earlier, and I'm going to throw this at you, and it may be something that make me as a factor is when you go to court, the judge asks for proof. You can't just make up stuff and say, I think, I heard, it might have. And if you don't meet that minimum threshold of stating a basic case, your case, they're not entertaining speculation, suspicions, boogeymans in closets. They're not doing Bigfoot searches. That stuff won't work. You got to have actual, and you can't have allegations. Now, in Georgia, I trust the Republican governor, the Republican Secretary of State, and the Republican-led Georgia Bureau of Investigations to look into that. They wanted Trump to win as much as possible. He just did not. So I think we kick that on. Here's what I'm trying to find out, Robin. You tell me. Can this thing that Stacey Abrams done be replicated in other states? Alabama, Mississippi, Texas.
Why are you naming all the red states?
Because that's where we're gonna do it at. We're gonna go do it.
And we take other states, of course you can. It's gonna be a little hard.
Yeah. So let me just say something. In regards to voter registration, just to ease his conscience, if you have the governor, the attorney general, the supervisor of elections, so no matter what you do, you still have to turn those forms into the supervisor of elections, right? So that supervisor of elections has an oath also. The applications go to him. They have to verify the signatures on those applications when they submit them, to verify the information. When
him or her, right?
I'm sorry?
Him or her, right?
Him or her.
Supervisor of election, their team. Yeah, so they have a part in this. It's not like she's just going and then boom, poop, they're getting an application. I mean,
so you're trying to tell me there can't be a breakdown, there can't be a coordinated effort? If everybody's in on it, you're trying to tell me that can't happen.
So you mean to tell me that
facts of that? You need to have the facts to go with that.
Yeah, you think that
right.
George is told it?
I'm not in court, so I don't need to have the facts, but I can say what I feel.
You get, and that's really, you're right. You're in the court of public opinion. Right.
So you think this is a coordinated effort between?
It was a coordinated effort. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
In every state, at every level, here's the professor's position. In every state, at every level, where there was a vote against Donald Trump, there was collusion. But we'll leave that where it is.
That's not my position.
Okay, it's only in the Democratic states there was collusion across state lines.
Nope, the states that we're talking about. But
all right, so let's move on to something else that I've never paid attention to, and most Americans may not have. That is the certification of the Electoral College.
Yes,
the Electoral College. It's barely understandable to me.
Yeah,
and I consider myself to be relatively informed. I can barely understand it, but we got to the point where it's time for Mike Pence to certify the election. And for the last 2 weeks, we've been told somebody's going to do something, Professor. And then, in fact, it got so heated, you got Ted Cruz jumped to the front of the line and he became the objector in chief to the certification process. My question for you, Professor, is why didn't more Republicans buy into that?
Because they're scared of the backlash. And to me, they're scared of the backlash. The Republicans knew if they took that risk to stand with Ted or just to go out on, first of all, they're going to be confronted. You still have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer still very dominant. I mean, just the backlash they'd have to face. But let's go with Ted. Ted was my guy. You know, someone came on and asked me about the whole Trump thing. Ted was my guy before anybody now, but I'm going to support the nominee. But Ted also gave a bit of education. I love Ted's speech. I listened to it again this morning so we can talk about this Electoral Act of 1887. So Ted actually, in his being objector in chief, as you call him, wasn't that a pretty good idea that he offered? It wouldn't have done anything but added more credence to the process. Yay or nay?
Well, if he had some facts to go with it, actual real facts,
I mean, what
all
facts?
that stuff was based on innuendo and accusations. Robin, when it got down to it, though, Mike Pence had a very simple ministerial duty. And I thought he did a disservice on the weekend at the rally in Georgia, it may have been Friday, when he came out and said, there's going to be something next week, kind of implying that he was not going to certify. And then when it came time for the certification, it was when it said he put that letter on, I said he was going along with it. Do you think he misled the Republicans into thinking something was going to happen that he couldn't do?
Correct. Because all you have to do is throw a little bone out there, and they'll make it out of a big bone. So he was giving them what they wanted without identifying what they wanted to encourage them to come out and vote.
Now let's move over to something else, because the electoral process I've never paid attention to it. I've never heard much about it. It almost happened as nothing. But we had this rally set up in Washington the same day, just before that process was to get started and happen. Do you think that was an accident, Robin, or was that an intentional to create more pressure on Congress to do something with this electoral certification process?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
The rally. Donald Trump scheduled this rally in Washington just that morning before they were supposed to start their certification process. Was that coordinated, you think, to create pressure on Congress?
Yes. And I don't even think, I think it was, because those are their voters. They've been touting the 74 million people that Donald Trump has, -1 now, that support him. And I think it was something to put pressure on Congress to make them do something that they shouldn't do. Let me just say something also in regards to this electoral process. Since 2016, when Andrew Gillum ran for governor, right? No one understood the process of what votes are counted early, just the whole process, right? So when you're in tight races, now all of these processes that are not normally paid attention to they're under a microscope. So now what we have to do is dissect all of this stuff, right? When it's amazing to me because I never paid attention to it. Just like you said, the electoral college, I never paid attention to it. It was just a seamless process until somebody puts it under a microscope, or you need every single vote to make it happen. And now we see what's been going on behind the scenes all this time, and we call it foul. Or if it's against it, we call it foul. If it's for us, we call it just a normal way.
Right. So let me jump in here again, break up this love affair for y'all to get too far from the point. I like to bake them in and move on, but I'm putting a pause there. So it was brilliant to didn't take a whole lot of planning. It makes common sense. If something's big about to happen, have mine before it. Make some influence. That's the perfect thing to do. It's bright. Last week, Clint called an excellent job when they distracted the president for 4 years with the same thing that you guys are talking about, this nugget that something big is coming. You guys did that with Russian collusion investigation, Adam Schiff. I have the proof. We're going to get him. So you guys have done the same thing. So there's no need in acting like we're doing something you guys hadn't done. But stay right there for a minute, because we talked about he or she. That's why I want you to confirm the she. You remember Brenda Snipes? That name
Yeah.
sounds familiar, South Florida. There was a lot of questions on why she did what she did with those votes, those ballots that kept popping up in the back of vehicles, down the street, round the corner. And you're trying to tell me, and then you don't know why people just don't trust it. Yeah, when our guy loses, do the same thing. But don't forget, it wasn't just in 2016. You guys carried this thing for 3 years with Donald Trump. You were sore losers. So miss us, if we don't quite jump onto this, okay, he won. This guy was installed. Joe
Right,
Biden was
right. All right. So he hadn't installed yet, but I only got a few more minutes because I got to break out. I'm going to leave the rest of the show to you all. I do want to just talk a little bit about the 2021 insurrection of the United States Capitol. The first time since the War of 1812 with the Britons after the Battle of Maryland that the Capitol has been breached, and it was breached by Trump supporters at Trump's behest. What were your thoughts when you saw that happening, Professor? Because I know you were watching on Newsmax or Breitbart or one of those stations.
I knew it was possible, and I don't frame it at Trump's behest. Yeah, he wanted that, and he wanted to show that he has a presence and a following, and it scared.
Well, hold on for a minute, Professor.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy Giuliani said we will now have trial by combat, and Trump said, "I'll meet you all over at the Capitol."
Trump didn't say that. You just said you have to have facts. You can't take that to court. You wouldn't win that statement in court. Trump didn't say it.
Meet me. He said, so they went to the Capitol. And the
Trump didn't say it. By your own words, Trump didn't say it. So that's
Trump didn't say it. He said, meet. He, as he spoke for an hour, said, meet me. I'll meet you at the Capitol. Right.
So if you said I'm going to Walmart and your cousin said I'm going to shoot somebody at Walmart, that means you had something with that?
You got to be careful. It's furtherance of a crime. But we'll leave that
there for him.
That's correct.
So
but
they were there.
Anna cut me off, y'all, if I don't get this out real quick for the break. But my thought was, when I was watching that, I was thinking our democracy not only is under attack, but now it's being tested. What were your thoughts when you saw that happening, Robin?
To be honest, I was in a maze, and I said, those crazy white people, some crazy white people. I mean, listen, and I may say something that's not popular, but this has not been, I have honestly felt that this has not been our fight. These have been two white entities mad at each other, and they fighting and they pulling us in the center. That's my honest opinion on that. But I thought it was crazy. I thought that,
I was happy to see that under immense duress, law enforcement can show restraint, and I want to see that was restraint.
That was the saddest part.
Right, exactly. Listen, I know there's a lot more. There's a lot more to unpack about the Trump rally and how this all happened. But let me say this, because we're going to go to break in a minute. I just want to finish with this thought, and you all can finish the show with the list of topics we have. A lot of people were worried about that moment, but I like the moment because it showed the strength, not the weakness of our democracy, the strength of our democracy, that Congress would rally itself, get back to business, and do what it needed to do. And that hopefully going forward, no matter where we are and what may happen, when the process that we say we're going to follow, I didn't make up these rules. Trust me, I did not make them. They were here. I'm just saying follow them. We say we're a democracy. We've got to apply this. And this is the biggest test we've had of our democratic processes since the civil rights movement. When what America says it is has to be put into action to be what it says it's going to be. Real quickly, y'all, we got to take a quick break. Professor Rob, I thank you all for letting me come in on the first half of the show. Rob, take it easy on the professor. He's vulnerable right now. Take it easy. So I'm going to catch y'all back on here next week. Thank you again. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills. When we come back, Robin and the professor are going to pick up the discussion on the storming of the Capitol.
Yes, we are.
Right back after this break.
I'll stand tall, Clinton. I'll stand tall.
All right, y'all take care. See y'all soon. We'll be right back after the break.
I'm muting out.
Okay.
Touch Radio anywhere. On your phone.
I'm listening to right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station.
On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
All right, we're back. I see Clint still hanging around. At least he's still up there. Clint, don't make me remove you from this. Now you're gone. So now I get to go back and double back and talk about some of these points that you lobbed. You know what? And I'll say this to Clint, and I think I'll probably message you something similar. You know, I like you two guys. The Democrats, you two guys, I'd vote for you, Robin, depending on who you're running against. But you'd get my vote a good 9 times out of 10, but depending on who you were running against.
Okay.
And I'd vote for Clint. Again, depending on who he's running against. 9 out of 10, you guys will have my vote. Although I think you guys sliding on that left. You guys play on that left a little too much for me, but your person is who I can agree with. Now, having said that, my biggest issue, and a couple things I want to go back to, and not spend a whole lot of time. Oh, Clint talked about, I made some notes here. He's turning me into a lawyer because he says so much and he moves past those points, and I forget because I'm scatterbrained.
And I don't write
but
notes. So
Clint has repeatedly phrased one, America is an idea. Now, he's not the only one I've heard say that, but that's definitely his mindset. I just find it hilarious because I think that, and kind of to be blunt, that African-American Democrats complain about America so much, it has to be a bad idea. It just can't be an idea and be a good idea given the typical stance of Black America. I'm Black. I've lodged a discrimination case. I've been harassed by a police officer. So I'm not saying for what reason. All I'm saying is I hear more complaints about this idea of a country, more lobbed from African-American Democrats than I do from African-American Republicans. That's just a point that I'll just lay out there. You can challenge me on that. But let me get to his other quote. He said that he was glad to see, he said before that our greatest strength is also our biggest weakness. And that was just a rephrasing of what he said before he left. And I agree with that. And the reason why I'm not going to say I liked what I saw, but I saw it coming. I'm ex-Navy. So I have military buddies, and we just had a reunion, believe it or not, a reunion last year. So we keep in touch more. Now, it's been 20 years ago since I've been in, but we keep in touch more. Just like a class reunion, it kind of fizzles out, but you keep in touch. But it was during that conversation, obviously Trump's president, and a lot of these boards are good old boards, so most of them love it. But I've talked with them since this has been going on. And certainly I got a message from one of my good friends, Clear Springs, Maryland. He said to me, he just accepted Christ in his life a couple months after that reunion. But let me get to the point because I'm bad at talking around it. He said to me in this text that He is afraid for this country. He loves this country. He served this country. He took a pledge to the flag. And I'm afraid something bad's going to happen. That's what he said. He's afraid something bad's going to happen. Let me tell you, and I used to tease him. I used to call him a Luddite, Luddite, if that's how you spell it. Because he's not one for technology. He has over the years. And I asked him, was he a doomsday prepper? This guy has guns all over his house. Luckily, his daughter, he's brought up, he lives out there in the country. I mean, I'm talking under the chair. He has it on the coffee table, here, upstairs, bathroom. Like, dude, I mean, what's going to happen at your house is what I want to ask. If a guy like that, who is an everyday American, he loves his country, for the Democrats to dismiss that mindset as white supremacists or somehow fooled by what Trump has been saying, this is a powder keg. If they think launching, so I'm going to move a bit forward to one of the points, if they think launching an impeachment is unity, first of all, I don't know, they all should just be replaced in Congress. But if they try that, then I would say get a lot of body bags, because I don't see one or two. There's going to be some blood on the streets. And then, as they like to say, then Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer will have to own that. Because if they try that against one of the most popular presidents of modern times, and you guys have made him that, if you just left Trump alone for 4 years, he probably would have self-destructed. He probably would have.
So let me touch on something, and I have an agreement with you on something you said, but pushing backwards. Was your Navy, were you in the Navy?
Mm-hmm.
So was this gentleman that you were speaking, was he white or black?
Oh, white.
So I also have heard that from Black people that are still good Americans, you have to define what that definition of a person that loves America is, right? Okay, because there's different tiers of it. You can love America. You can be a white supremacist. White supremacist is something totally different. But my point is that a lot of people, Black and white, Blacks, I even thought about getting a gun because I was in regards to how things have been happening, didn't know what was going to come forth. So a lot of people, not just people that love their company, everyday people are afraid of what they are seeing. In regards to what you just said, oh God, I didn't write it down either.
About the impeachment?
Oh, the impeachment. There's Republicans calling for an impeachment, right? Now they're trying to play chess instead of the checkers they've been playing. Because now they want to say, okay, you know what? I don't want to be on the. I don't think they should. I think it's dumb. I think that he should be removed because you don't know what he's going to do for these last 12 days that he has in office, right? But just that process, it's not going to happen overnight. And what they're saying is that they want to. They don't want to be on the wrong side of history. Is what they're stating in regards to supporting this. Now you have Republicans now trying to shift to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we went along with all the things that he did these 4 years. We don't agree with what happened. And, they're trying to make a stance now because now they realize they have to work with the Democratic majority in office right now. So it's people jumping ship and doing trying to do things differently.
Well, and I agree with that. Mitt Romney being one of the, Jeff Flake, well, he's out, but yeah, I mean the typical ones.
Mitt Romney has been consistent. He supports.
Yeah, he's been consistent because Trump drug him and just name called.
He was one of the ones that tell the truth. He supports the president, but then when he disagrees with the president, he hasn't been afraid not to stand up to the president.
Well, that's true too, and I will say that, but still, the statement that they realize that they have to work with the Dems, they've always done that. And that's the problem with Congress. Congress has the lowest rating for a reason. And then when things are good, see, before a Donald J. Trump presidency, the norm is to complain about the other guy, get in office, show your base that, yeah, I meant what I said, behind the scenes, pass pork bills, have special interests, run again, same talking points. I'm gonna reach across the aisle, blah, blah, blah. But see,
so you just think that's Democrats?
no, I know.
Oh, that's everybody.
This is both. That was politics.
Okay.
Now, since 2016, since a Donald J presidency, one who circumvents the normal channels, because normal presidents in the past would use the proper mediums. I'm not going to tweet this kind of stuff out. It may give the wrong impression. Donald J. Trump's like, nah, because you guys filter me too much. I don't like what you guys say. But from the beginning, Donald Trump didn't trust anybody. So why do you expect someone who came in and from day one, you told me you were going to launch an investigation. From day one, 70 Democrats boycotted his inauguration because they said he was illegitimate. So from day one, because remember now, inauguration is day one.
Okay, so that stuff is normal. Even the guy that you said that you were
not those numbers. 70 Republicans never did that. Never boycotted.
Just like
so what I'm saying is Democrats have pushed this thing, have pushed this because there was a lot of backlash against Obama. And one of our former hosts really still has an issue with someone calling him a liar and apparently a monkey. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was in an official capacity, like when they were having some proceedings, but I do remember the guy yelling out.
You lie. And through
in the chamber. Yeah, I remember that. But the name calling it the monkey, I don't think that was in chambers.
It was much of it, you can't tell who said it.
Right. So my point is, what Donald Trump has faced has not only come from Democrats, it's come from the liberal organizations. So you do know that Donald Trump has been banned, has been censored from Twitter, Facebook.
He should have been.
But here's the thing.
Beforehand.
How is this a democracy when you control someone's speech and say this is our strength?
Because
that's
you
not
have
our
influence
strength
on those people and you are lying.
You
can't inciting a riot.
If you're a dictator can't be silenced. Do you agree with that? If I'm a dictator, you can't silence me. But
then
the
he has to find another means
is the dictator. See, if you're saying this guy's going to have influence on me, so you silence him, but you're actually silencing me too. And it's not him. It's easy to characterize that people just kind of in this trance, Donald Trump said move, and we don't know what's going on. We just kind of walk around. That's not it by I can speak for me. That was never it. I've been consistent on this show. Ted Cruz was my guy. And in the early days, Donald Trump is real petty. But it became obvious that the left only hates him because he used to be one of them. Everybody knew the statement he made. Donald Trump was a Democrat up until the last few years, then he ran. So he's really a Democrat. He's a rich old white man, and they hate it because they couldn't do what their normal tools. Wait a minute. So why is whatever Facebook? So why not shut the whole site down? Yeah, I'm read that post in a minute. So their normal tactics didn't work on Donald Trump. See, a regular president, and let's say a normal president would have said, hey, I'm making some people angry with my tone. You guys are right. America is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump was like, nah, I'm going to do it this way. And that's what people like. People like that guy.
So that's the agreement I have with you, right? Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, if Donald Trump was not so paranoid, what I did like about Donald Trump is that he pushed the envelope, right? He did that when it was right. He did what he felt was right instead of following protocol. They initially said for the next 2 weeks, he's not on.
Okay, but here's
the American people can be shut down because of the things that they're posting. He can do the same thing. He could be done the same thing.
I think we have a caller. Okay, caller, I can read this post that we have one. You're going to have to pipe them in. And Anna, your mic is muted, so we can't hear anything. Okay, I can hear you. Yes. Hey, caller. Welcome to Straight Up the Middle. Okay, I appreciate that. I think what he was saying was he didn't like Ted Cruz. He's a coward because he uses nationality. Is that what he said?
No, you're saying that Ted Cruz is your guy,
Uh-huh.
and you're, I guess, in regards to his, what I took from it, Ted Cruz was one of Donald Trump's biggest non-supporters when they first started out.
Initially, exactly.
Right. So, but it falls back to it's amazing how, and you hit on it, and I've been saying the same thing, that Donald Trump in that office, access to a whole lot of stuff, has dirt on everybody there. So that explains to
everybody.
So that explains to me that one possible reason why the Republican Congress has been, just blindly, because a lot of stuff he did was crazy. A lot of stuff he did was good. I'm not even saying that. But in regards to how they're not standing up to him, they're not afraid of a tweet. They're afraid of all that private information he has gotten on everybody, everybody. He will play dirty.
Right, and he's petty that way. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe the Southern District, New York, whatever that court is up there that's been gunning for him. Yeah, I think they're going to go after him. But I think Joe Biden, that's one thing I believe Joe Biden will do. I think he's so much of a politician. He didn't want to set that precedence of putting a former president in jail or allowing that to happen. And so while we're talking about Joe Biden, since I just invoked his name, what do we have? We actually have 6 minutes left. So my take on Joe Biden is he showed his true colors because he's just that. He's a long-term, a tenured politician who really doesn't have a whole lot of accomplishments. I said it last week, just reminding people, the guy's been in Congress 47, now 48 years, going on 48 years, right? Ran for president twice, didn't get it to the third time, but guess how many times he won a primary? He never won a primary until until Jim Clyburn came to his aid in South Carolina in February of 2020. The first time in 47 years, a guy who's run 3 times has ever won a primary. That tells you he doesn't have a whole lot behind him. To me, the irony is he pulled in a black female vice president, right? That same black female vice president went to South Carolina and primary too. Why didn't she get the black vote? It's just ironic. So now we have this supposedly administration that's going to be for the people, but it's backwards in its support. You gave the old white guy who didn't want anything the black vote, and he just pulled the black person in.
We can dissect it all we want. We dissected it with Trump, and they're dissecting it now. But I have a question. Somebody sent me a question.
Okay. Caller, welcome to Straight Up the Middle.
Yeah. Voter suppression.
We appreciate that, Carl. Thanks, Carl.
I have a question also that was sent to me, but even in response to that, if that's their game plan, the impeachment is going to anger his base anyhow, right? They're going to think that it's frivolous. So, but I have a question someone sent me. Professor, does it bother, well, let me just read it. Does it bother the professor that the president of Iran stated, the events that transpired at the U.S. Capitol demonstrates how fragile American democracy is? Really being lectured to him. Oh, that's so that's a question.
Does it bother me what Iran said? The statement of Iran about?
Yes.
No, it does not bother me what another country says about the U.S. I believe the United States is the best country on the face of the earth, save for Jesus Christ. And that's the issue all in itself. That's the part of the pendulum I think we're missing. While we're looking at what they're trying to do to Donald Trump, as the last caller said, they want to take power from him. The power they're trying to take from him is positional power. He's going to be out. Donald Trump has now amassed what we call it would be probably reverent power. What people think, with his base and the 74 million people that voted for him, he has that power. You can't take that power. You can't take it. Donald Trump can advocate that he can blow it and lose it, but this is not going to take it. You're adding to it because there are people on your side of the aisle that go, this is a bad idea. Because
and I think it is. So the question for you is, so being that you were Republican, you've now turned independent. So you are no longer with the Republican Party, but will you still follow Donald? Will you still be a part and follow Donald Trump?
No, I wasn't a follower of Donald Trump. He endeared me because I can see everything Americans said that they stood for. No, they didn't. And look what they're doing. It's a get back game. And they're blaming on Donald Trump. Well, because you're petty, we're going to do this. Well, again, they made that monster. He would have self-destructed. You're right. I believe he's petty. He's narcissistic at a lot of times. He would have self-destructed. That's the biggest problem. And that would have self-destructed. Okay, but we're out of time. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to the 2 callers, maybe even 3 callers. As we leave, this verse came to me. I'm just going to read it as we go out. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. I'm going to put troubled times because that's where we are. This is a very disturbing time. And it's not because Iran said anything. And it's not just because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a symptom of where we are as a country. It took Donald Trump to bring that out. So thank you for joining. Stay tuned for the next show. We're out.